3%. Did you just say 3%? My voice came out thin, almost breaking under the weight of disbelief. I stared at Marcus from HR, the sterile glow of the fluorescent ceiling lights making his face look ghostly. Sharp angles cast an unforgiving white. The air in that small conference room felt suddenly heavier, pressing against my chest. As if even oxygen had turned hostile. Between us sat the spreadsheet. My numbers, my proof. $2.1 million in new business I'd personally brought to the firm this year alone. Each row, each figure, was a reminder of late nights, client dinners, and endless follow-ups that had bled into weekends. Now it all looked meaningless, sitting there like evidence at a trial where I was somehow both witness and defendant. Marcus adjusted his tie, eyes darting to the door instead of meeting mine. "Eliza, I understand your disappointment," he began, voice rehearsed. "But this is standard across the board. The partners have approved a maximum raise threshold of 3% for this fiscal year." Something inside me gave way, then not loudly, not visibly but quietly, the way a crack forms in glass, spreading unseen until it's too late to repair. My name is Eliza Chen, 34 years old. And until 6 months ago, I was the top-performing client relationship manager at Fulcrum Financial Advisors. Before I continue, please like this video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'd love to know if you've ever had that moment too, the one where you finally realize your loyalty has been a one-way street. That HR meeting happened on a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were always my West Coast nights. Those were the evenings I stayed late to catch clients in California after their business hours. For 4 straight years, I'd done that without being asked, just because it mattered to them. But that Tuesday, when the clock hit 5:30, I closed my laptop, slipped the spreadsheet into my bag, and walked out without a word. My body was in that office, but my mind was already gone. Let me rewind a bit. I wasn't always the person bringing in millions. 7 years ago, I started at Fulcrum as an assistant account manager, lowest rung on the ladder. My tasks included formatting presentations, scheduling calls, and running for coffee orders. But I wanted to learn, and I made sure everyone knew it. While my friends filled their weekends with brunches and short getaways, I spent mine drafting proposals and shadowing senior advisors. When co-workers called in sick after late company happy hours, I was already at my desk by 7 a.m., double-checking client reports. My first real breakthrough came with the Wilson, a counter-family-owned manufacturing company that one of our senior partners, Jackson, had nearly lost. He'd cancelled on them 3 times for more important meetings. I decided to step in, even though it wasn't technically my place. I studied their business, stayed late building a tailored investment plan, and within a month, the Wilsons expanded their portfolio by 40%. Jackson took full credit, of course. I got a $200 Nordstrom gift card and a cheerful "keep up the good work" email. I told myself that was fine, that paying dues was part of earning respect. 2 years ago, everything changed. I'd proposed a new acquisition strategy focused on mid-sized companies, the kind everyone else ignored because they weren't glamorous enough. Damien, my manager, had shrugged when I asked for approval. "Go ahead, just don't let it distract from your regular workload," he'd said, eyes glued to his phone. 5 months later, I brought in 7 new clients. 12 more joined the following quarter. My method wasn't revolutionary, just deeply personal. I learned about my clients' businesses before our first meeting. I remembered birthdays, kids' names, even their favorite wines. Where other managers relied on PowerPoints and lunches, I relied on relationships. Then came the Wesleyan Group, a $500 million family office that had worked with Morgan Stanley for decades. I spent 6 months building that bridge. I showed up when others didn't, dinner with the patriarch on his 70th birthday. A custom portfolio analysis when they considered real estate diversification. 3 a.m. phone calls during market drops when their daughter panicked. When they finally moved $85 million to Fulcrum, I thought I'd finally proven my worth. I was wrong. My performance reviews glowed. Eliza exceeds expectations in all areas. Clients mentioned me by name 11 times in the annual survey. I received a small bonus that year, modest compared to what my male peers received, but I told myself it was progress. Then, last December, Damien pulled me aside after the company's holiday party, whiskey on his breath. "We're looking at promotions next quarter," he'd said. "Your name's at the top. The partners see what you've built. Just keep doing what you're doing." I believed him. That's the part that still stings, the sincerity of my belief. Over the next 3 months, I worked harder than ever. I created a new strategy for tech industry clients, closed 3 startups that had just landed Series B funding, and even flew to Boston on my own dime to secure the Hendrix deal. I skipped my sister's baby shower to prep for a Monday morning pitch that landed us the Rickman account. When quarterly reviews came, I was ready. My presentation was airtight: $2.1 million in new revenue, a 24% retention increase, and the highest satisfaction score in firm history. I requested a 15% raise, reasonable, even conservative, for what I'd accomplished. And that brings us back to that Tuesday. 3%. That was my worth. 7 years of loyalty, countless sacrifices, and millions earned for the company summed up in 3%. "I need to think about this," I said quietly, gathering my papers. Marcus exhaled, clearly relieved I wasn't about to make a scene. "The market's tight right now, Eliza," he offered weakly. "Everyone's feeling the pinch." Later that afternoon, I found out Damien had received a 22% raise and a promotion to senior partner. The news came via a company-wide email praising his exceptional leadership and business development success, the same success I'd built while he was out golfing. I sat at my desk for hours, reading that email over and over, the reality settling like ice in my veins. I'd given Fulcrum everything: my time, my creativity, my weekends, and they drained me dry without ever seeing me. That night, I updated my resume for the first time in 7 years. By Thursday, I had 3 interviews. By Monday, 2 solid offers. I chose Meridian Wealth Advisors, a smaller firm known for treating people like people. When I handed Damien my resignation letter, his expression shifted through disbelief, irritation, and confusion. "Is this about money?" he asked, blinking as if the idea baffled him. "Because we can revisit the compensation discussion if that's the issue." "It's about value," I said evenly. "And no, we can't revisit it." I gave my 2 weeks' notice and began transitioning my clients. That's when things got interesting. The Wesleyan Group called me directly when the news reached them. "We work with you, Eliza," Mr. Flurley Wesleyan said over the phone. "Not Fulcrum. Where you go, we go." 6 other clients said nearly the same thing. Together, they accounted for over $500,000 in annual fees. I was careful, ethical. I didn't solicit anyone or speak ill of the firm. When clients asked where I was heading, I told them honestly. Nothing more. They made their own decisions. 2 days before my final day, Damien summoned me into his office. His face was flushed, his tone clipped. "The partners are concerned about the Wesleyan situation," he said stiffly. "What did you say to them?" "The truth," I replied. "That I'm leaving for a new opportunity. You must have said something else." "They've been with us for 2 years with Neushoes." "They've been with me for 2 years," I corrected him. "There's a difference." That's when the panic re-elicited in for Fulcrum. Suddenly everyone wanted to talk. The CEO, Richard, who had never once acknowledged me in Thelway, invited me to lunch. "We see great things in your future here." hesed as if my resignation was a minimal misunderstanding rather than a final decision. On my last day, I cleaned out me desk, handed in my keycard, and walked out without looking back. No one arranged a goodbye happy hour. No one circulated a card. 7 years and I left like I'd never been there at all. The first indication that I'd struck a nerve came 3 days later. I was settling into me new office at Meridian when my phone rang. A blocked number. Eliza, it's Richard Martin, the CEO of Fulcrum, calling me directly. My heart hammered in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. Hello, Richard. What can I do for you? We've made a terrible mistake, he said, his voice uncharacteristically humble. Your contribution to Fulcrum wasn't valued. The board has authorized me to offer you a substantial package. Torreton. I remained silent, letting him fill the space. $100,000 signing bonus, 30% increase on your previous salary, and the director title you deserved. We need you back, Eliza. The Wesleyan Group is threatening to pull their remaining invests if we don't sort this out. I looked around my new office, smaller than my old one, but with a window that actually opened, and a team that had welcomed me with genuine warmth. I appreciate the offer, Richard, but I've made my decision. At least think about it, he pleaded. This is a significant pack. We can go higher on the bonus if necessary. I'll consider it, I said, knowing I wouldn't. After we hung up, is that there? A strange sense of power flowing through me. For the first time in 7 years, I was being valued, not for what I was, but for what I could take away. Later that night, my phone pinged with a voicemail notification. Richard again, this time more desperate. Eliza, before you make any final decisions, I want you to know that the board has unanimously approved an equity partnership offer. This is unprecedented for someone at your level, but we recognize the relationships you've built are essential to Fulcrum. Please call me back day or night. I listened to the message twice. The calm, calculating part of my brain, the part that had been silently taking notes every time I was overlooked, underpaid or underestimated, knew exactly what to do next. I forwarded the voicemail to Ashley, my new boss at Meridian. FYI, I wrote. This is what panic sounds like. Ashley responded within minutes. Holy, can I share this with the team? This is gold. I hesitated for only a moment. Go ahead, I replied. It might be educational for everyone. What happened next exceeded even my wildest expectations. Ashley played the voicemail at the firm's weekly strategy meeting as an example of what happened. You don't value your key people. Someone recorded it. That recording made its way to one of Meridian's board members who happened to play golf with owner of Fulcrum's largest institutional invests. Within 24 hours, Fulcrum stock dropped 12%. I found out from a text message from my former colleague, Tara. WTF, did you do? Stock is in freefall and there's an emergency board meeting happening right now. I hadn't intended to hurt the company. No, truly. I just wanted them to feel a fraction of what I'd felt: undervalued, disposable, taken for granted. But as the news trickled in throughout the day, I realized just how fragile their faked of success had been. Apparently, the institutional investor who heard the voicemail had been looking for an excuse to reduce their position in Fulcrum performance. My departure and 7 mile clients following me was the red flag they needed. They sold 30% of their holdings, triggering a small panic. By market close, 3 analyst firms had downgraded Fulcrum stock from buy to hold. That night, my phone blew up with messages from former colleagues. Some were angry, blaming me for the chaos. Others were impressed, asking if Meridian was hiring. Darman sent a single text. I hope you're satisfied. I didn't respond to any of them. I'd love to say I slept peacefully that night, satisfied with my revenge. The truth was messier. I lay awake until 3 a.m. replaying every moment of my 7 years at Fulcrum. Had I overreacted? Had I crossed a line? The validation felt incredible, but it came with a weight I hadn't anticipated. The next morning, I arrived at Meridian to find Ashley waiting in my office, grinning like she'd won the lottery. "You're officially a legend," she said, dropping into the chair across from my desk. "The Wesleyan Group called. They're removing their entire portfolio to us all. $320 million. They said, and I quote, 'We want to be where Eliza is valued properly.'" I felt a smile spread across my face. A real one, the kind I hadn't won in years. "They're good people," I said. "You'll like working with them." "I wouldn't be working with them," Ashley replied. "They specifically requested you as their primary contact, which is why I'm here." She slid a folder across my desk. "Congratulations on your promotion to Senior Director of Client Relations. The board approved it this morning." I stared at the folder, my heart pounding. "I've been here for 11 days. And in 11 days, you've brought more value than some people bring in 11 years. She stood up. "The salary adjustment is effective immediately. Take the day to get settled into your new role. We'll announce it company-wide tomorrow." After she left, I opened the folder with shaking hands. The compensation package was nearly double what Richard had desperately offered me to return to Fulcrum. But it wasn't the money that made my eyes well up. It was the handwritten note from Meridian CEO. "Thank you for choosing us. We won't take it for granted." Over the next few weeks, the Fulcrum situation continued to spiral. 2 more partners left, taking their clients with them. The company announced a strategic restructure that everyone in the industry recognized as code for "We're in trouble." Richard resigned as CEO, citing personal reasons. I didn't feel the satisfaction I'd expected. Instead, I felt something more complex. A mixture of vindication, sadness, and surprisingly, gratitude. Fulcrum had taught me exactly what I didn't want to and exactly what I wouldn't tolerate. That knowledge was worth something. 3 months into my new position at Meridian, I received an unexpected email from Marcus, the HR manager who had delivered the insulting 3% raise offer. "I'm writing to apologize," his message began. "I was part of a system that consistently undervalued your contributions, while overvaluing others based on factors that had nothing to do with performance. After you left, I started noticing the pattern everywhere. Last week, I resigned from Fulcrum. I couldn't be part of it anymore. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that your courage changed at least one person's perspective." I read the email 5 times. Tears streaming down my face. Not because I'd won some victory, but because sometimes speaking your truth, even when it's painful, even when it costs you, creates ripples you never anticipated. 6 months after leaving Fulcrum, I was sitting in my office now with a view of the river and an assistant of my own when my phone rang. It was Mr. Wesleyan. "I thought you'd want to know," he said, his voice gentle with age and wisdom. "Fulcrum approached us about returning our business to them. They offered significant fee reductions." He paused. "I told them that some relationships aren't about price." "Thank you," I said quietly. "No, Eliza. Thank you for showing integrity when it wasn't convenient. For valuing us as people, not just accounts. My family noticed those things." Another pause. "By the way, my granddaughter just graduated from business school. Bright young woman reminds me of you. Would you be willing to meet with her? She could use a mentor who understands what it means to know your worth." After we hung up, I sat there for a long time, looking out at the river. The revenge had been sweet. Yes. Seeing Fulcrum scramble, watching their stock tumble, hearing the desperation in Richard's voice. All of it had given me a satisfaction I couldn't deny. But the real victory wasn't in their downfall. It was in my eyes, not just professionally, but personally. I had finally learned that loyalty is meaningless if it only fails upward. That sacrifice is pointless if it's never acknowledged. That my worth isn't determined by those who undervalue, but by my willingness to walk away when they do. The hardest part to admit is this. I stayed at Fulcrum for 7 years, not because I believed in the company, but because I didn't fully believe in myself. I kept thinking I needed to prove something, earn something, become worthy of something that should have been mine from the beginning. Basic respect and fair compensation for exceptional work. 8 months after I left, Fulcrum was acquired by a larger firm for 40% less than their valuation the year before. I read the news with surprise and detachment. They had become part of my past, and my focus was firmly on their future. At Meridian, I built a team of my own, mostly women who had been overlooked at other firms. I implemented a transparent compensation structure where performance directly correlates with rewards. I created a mentorship program for junior staff. I made sure that no one on my team ever worked through a family event for a client where I didn't remember their name. My client portfolio grew to over $5 billion in managed assets within 18 months. The industry took notice. I was invited to speak at conferences, featured in business publications, approached by headhunters offering eye-watering salaries to poach me. I declined them all because Meridian had done something Fulcrum never did. They valued me from day one, not just when they were at risk of losing me. Last week, I ran into Damien at an industry event. He looked older, diminished somehow. He approached me at bar, drink in hand. "You destroyed us," he said. No preamble. Was it worth it? I studied him for a moment. This man who had taken credit for my work, who had seen my ambition as a result of exploit rather than talent to nurture. "I didn't destroy anything, Damien," I replied calmly. "Fulcrum did that all on its own. I just stopped holding it together." He flinched as I side-slapped him. "For what it's worth," I continued, "I learned more from Fulcrum's failures than from any of its successes. So, yes, it was absolutely worth it." As I walked away, I realized I felt no anger toward him anymore. No resentment, no desire for further revenge. Those emotions required an investment of energy I was no longer willing to make. Yesterday marked 2 years since I left Fulcrum. I celebrated by taking my entire team to dinner. As I looked around the table at these brilliant, dedicated professionals who had chosen to work with me, not for me, but with me, I felt a contentment that no amount of revenge could ever provide. When dinner was winding down, Ashley raised her glass. "To Eliza," she said, "who showed us all what happens when you outknow your worth and refuse to accept less." The team clinketed glasses, but they shook my head. "To all of us," I corrected, "for building something worth staying for." Later that night, I received an email from a former Fulcrum client who had not followed me to Meridian. "I made a mistake," she wrote. "I stayed with the firm out of convenience, but the service has deteriorated dramatically. Would you consider taking on my account? It's small compared to your usual portfolio, only about $30 million, but I trust you." I smiled as I typed my response. "I'd be happy to meet with you. My team and I value relationships of all sizes. How's Tuesday at 10 o'clock? As I pressed send, I thought about that meeting with Marcus 2 years ago. The one where he offered me 3% and expected gratitude. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't change my response. But I might add something. "Thank you for showing me exactly what I'm worth and exactly what I won't accept." The journey from that conference room to where I am now wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about recognition. Recognizing my value. Recognizing when loyalty becomes a self-destruction. Recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply walk away. The stock drop, the panic, the desperate calls, Those were just symptoms of a larger truth. When you build something on the exploitation of undervalued talent, you build on sand. Eventually the tide comes in. My revenge wasn't in leaving, it was in thriving once I left. And that's the revenge that keeps giving day after day after day. If you're watching this and wondering if you're undervalued, if your loyalty is being exploited, if you're giving more than you're getting, ask yourself one question. What would happen if you walked away? If the answer scares your employer more than it scares you, maybe it's time to find out. Have you ever had to walk away from something to prove a worth? Have you stayed somewhere too long out of misplaced loyalty? Has an employer ever tried to win you back after undervaluing you? Tell me your story in the comments. And if this resonated with you, please subscribe. There's more where this came from. More truths, more lessons learned the hard way. More stories of finding power in places you least expect it. Because their real revenge isn't in making others regret losing you. It's in never regretting the decision to lose them.